I'm not late.
Whoa, that timing, dude. I might have to check the tapes on that one because I think you sat down like the exact instant that we went live.
I think so
That
too.
was crazy.
That was on
Whoa.
purpose.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Okay, wait. Dude, I just checked the tapes. I had the receipts. The very first thing, it's you are there's not even any like vertical movement from you. It's only like slight horizontal. You just say I'm not late, and that's the beginning of the episode. Wow. Look at that. That's professional work.
That's pretty good.
Also, people keep talking about the thumbnail. I don't know what's wrong with it. It seems fine.
Did I make? Because I'm the one that scheduled the stream today, so I don't know if I made a mistake or something.
No, it's showing up. I see it.
Let me see.
I don't know.
I see it. It looks normal to me.
If I go into a private tab, it's showing up. I don't get it. I don't get it. Well,
People are saying the wrong. People are saying RIP episode 38. That happened. That was the last episode
we had
we
that.
did.
Yeah,
It was.
we weren't
It wasn't
on
last week. It was the week before. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I think you're using your MacBook mic or something because it sounds a little goofy, a little wacky.
Oh yeah.
Here we go. I can't wait to hear this buttery smoothness.
Fancy stuff. Yeah. Okay. Hang on.
It still sounds terrible. I gotta pan my camera down, so forgive me. My very attractive camera panning face there. Oh,
this should be better.
Yes, there we are. We are always smart and prepared for anything, except
we
for
were
our
off
own
for
podcast.
like a week. We were off for one week, and then I just forgot everything.
I'm like, I don't know what the heck is this? I don't know. Hello.
Where am I right now?
Is this not a Denny's? Hang on. This is weird. I ordered. So the weirdest thing happened to me. I don't know. I forgot your name even. The weirdest thing happened to me. I ordered the steak, and they gave me this. I'm like, I don't know what this is. Is this like a chip?
It looks a bit well done.
It doesn't sound like. I don't think this is chicken. You know, or steak, whatever I ordered. I don't quite get it.
Did you went to a Denny's and you ordered a steak?
Yeah. For sure. And they gave me this fucking thing. I'm like, what? I don't know. Don't worry, by the way. If anyone's going to complain about the way that I'm holding that, don't worry. It's not working. Also, do another buying MacBooks on eBay. I don't know if you've noticed, I do those quite frequently. And in fact, my most recent video is one of those. Or do they mean multiple MacBooks?
I don't know. I guess you did this classic. I remember you did some where you were like looking at all the scams and like laughing at all the overpriced MacBooks. Those were pretty good.
Oh yeah, I haven't done one of those in a while. Would anyone be interested in those still? I could definitely give that another run. I feel like eBay has gotten a little better. I don't know. I don't see. The thing is, I don't think they've changed all that much. My videos on those are mainly still applicable, like to the point where I think they're using the same images 3 years later.
Yeah,
but people want some. Also, your mom wants us to do a poll, which is fair. We got to do one.
All right, I'll get that.
Let's
ready
pull
to
up a
go.
poll. Should we do a poll today? Just kidding.
That's
Don't
a good
actually
question.
Get wrecked. Yeah, sorry. Also, people are saying we weren't here last week. Yeah, that was I tweeted about that. I think I might have forgotten to put that on the community tab, so that might be on me. But if you don't follow me on Twitter, then I don't know what to tell you. Noah's on there too.
Yeah,
He's
that's
out
right.
there tweeting around.
Extremely occasionally, but
well, it's more frequent than your YouTube upload schedule, which is. Are we gonna go with annual now? I've always said quarterly.
yeah, I feel like annual
that?
is. I think you might have to at this point.
That's unfortunate. Let's get those numbers up. All right. Gotta get your gotta get your Q1. You have not posted this year. Am I correct?
That is correct.
We're already more than 10% through the year. You got to get going on that.
It is kind of weird to think it's already like late February. Kind of crazy.
Yeah. What in the world? What is the we only have 8 days left this month. I always forget that February is so short.
Yeah.
So let's see here. So here's the thing. Looking at the calendar, actually. We're getting close to an Apple event.
That's right.
Oh my.
You can feel it.
It's right around the corner. Anyway.
Oh my.
Yeah. So, hello. What have I done here? I've zoomed out. I for some reason forget how to. Oh, never mind. I got it. I zoomed in on my calendar. Look at the. You can tell I use my calendar a lot because it's empty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got. See all these gray dots here. You're like, wow, this guy's got lots of stuff there. Let's go ahead and click on one, shall we? March 1st, I've got an event for that. What's that? First day of Women's History Month. Ooh. What do I have on the 2nd of March? That's Ash Wednesday. I got to be ready for Ash. I always pay attention to Ash Wednesday.
Of course.
That's very important to me. And then, of course, who could forget Daylight Savings Time?
I'm looking forward to that.
That's only in like wait a minute. That's going to be the day that we're filming. We have a podcast that day. That's going to be a weird one.
Yeah, it'll be bright out for me.
Oh yeah, because you go back to like normal. Well, I guess we both do because it still applies here, but I won't be light out probably for me.
Not at 9 p.m., but here it would be.
So wait, we go ahead, right? Leap ahead, fall back.
Spring forward, fall back. Yeah.
Leap. What did I say? Leap. What?
Leap ahead.
Yeah, you know, spring. You leap ahead. I don't know why I said that. Oh no, that was an all-time fail. That was almost as bad as I was on Discord with my friend, and he wanted to like graph an equation, and so he went over to Google and he typed in online math calculator. And I was like, hey, 2 of those words are not necessary because you're online looking for it, and it's inherently math. If it's a calculator, it's math. You don't need to specify those 2 things.
That is true. That's pretty funny.
So there you go. Leap forward, fall back. See that? Skywalker 8510 with a Minecraft profile picture in front of a nether portal. He is saying leap forward, fall back. That's a real thing. I won't accept any
But
grief.
the pun doesn't work. Like spring forward, spring the season, but you're like,
no.
I mean, it's not that great of a pun in the first place. The point is that the sun will set an hour later, and I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, because then you can go out and do your little bike around with your little shorts.
Yeah.
Your little shorts with the little padded butt.
Yeah, that's right.
You ever walk around in public with those?
If only I can. Whenever I can find an excuse, I do.
Oh God. Shall we start the recording?
Yeah, let's go for it.
And I'm using the. I'll save it for the podcast because we're starting now anyway. Are you recording?
Yes.
Fantastic. Welcome to Drk Mode, the podcast that brings you sage advice from two technology experts. And that's not just what we call ourselves, it's what our moms tell people when daylight savings time is in 3 weeks. I dropped the ball on that one. I being your host, Luke Miani.
And I, being your host, Noah Rubin. On this show, we take questions from listeners, attempt to answer them to varying degrees of success, and maybe even have a laugh or two along the way. And we've already had one of those.
And so that means there's one left at maximum, but there's no guarantees. Now, I'm having a good time here tonight, Noah, because since my video a little while ago, I've got a dual monitor setup going, and I have not run a dual monitor setup ever. It's my first time.
Very nice. So you've got, I'm going to take a guess because I haven't seen it, but I'm assuming that your cinema display is one of the monitors, and
that would be
your
correct.
iMac Pro is the other monitor?
That would be correct. Indeed. You
Very
get
nice
5 points.
Thank you.
Yeah, 5 points. Yeah, we're introducing a point system on Drk Mode now. So we will be awarding each other points. And that is all. Now,
okay.
This monitor is excellent. It's very good for many reasons, one of which being the video on it is people seem to enjoy it. It's getting almost at 200,000 views. That's pretty good.
Very nice.
And I mean, it's 18 years old. It's 2560 by 1600. It's perfectly bright. The colors are great. Because I sit in front of my iMac Pro, the cinema display is off to the side a little bit, which means the relatively low, certainly non-retina pixel density doesn't really pose that much of an issue, and it's big enough and large enough that I can very easily see everything on the screen. So I think it's fantastic, and you can get them for like $200, which is crazy.
That's pretty impressive because that's like, it seems like a pretty nice monitor that you can get. Like, I get that it's old and that's why it's, less expensive, but that's still pretty nice.
I'm trying to think if you can get any. Okay, I've debunked myself instantaneously. Yes, you can get a monitor for around $200, $300 that's 30 inches. I don't know that they're necessarily the best. No, that one's okay. You can get actually ultra wides, but those being 30 inches, I feel like is a little bit misleading because it's diagonal and they're so wide that the diagonal is really big, but they're not that huge.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you know what? Honestly, this is pretty good because the closest thing that I can find are a couple of LG. There's a 31.5 inch 1920 by 1080 display with a 75 hertz refresh rate for $196. So that's almost the same. But folks, the Apple Cinema display, which is 18 years old, is higher resolution. How about that? That's pretty nuts. So yeah, if you have a Mac, you should get one. They're good.
It's honestly pretty impressive because if you think about like what technology that's 18 years old that you would still want to use today, I feel like there's very little of it. And then what there is of it is more of a novelty. Like there are still people who use iPods, right?
Mhm.
But like people use them because they're simpler and it's like a dedicated music player. It's not because they're like, you know, as good as, you know, a streaming service or just putting an app on your phone. It's because, you know, you want to use an iPod and like, you know, have that experience. But I feel like this, you're just using it like as a display. It's not just, you know, for nostalgia or anything, but it's still like a really good display. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's a great point, because if you think back in terms of anything technological in any way from 2004, I mean, people pretty much don't drive cars from 2004 that much anymore. I believe the average age for a car is like 11 years. Wait, that was 2011? That doesn't even seem that old, but yeah, I guess most people keep a car for around 11 years. This is 18 years old. You don't see a ton of 2004 cars around, and those are arguably more useful insofar as they still, you know, go from one place to another, which is kind of the point of a car. But this is totally like I could totally main this. I had this thing hooked up to my 16-inch MacBook Pro, and I was vibing on it, you know? I closed the lid of the 16-inch MacBook Pro. I was like, I don't need you. I got the 30-inch, the $200 display with a $4,000 laptop plugged into it.
Yeah, that's it's a pretty impressive display there. Ahead of its time.
You know what else was ahead of its time?
What's that?
The other cheap old Apple product I've been using, it's not that old. And I want to get your thoughts on this, Noah, because I know that you and I share some old memories about this. Look at this. And this was the launch color. This is the color that we wanted when this thing came out. The 12-inch Retina Macbook. Look at it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the thing it's a thing of beauty, even if it's a thing of terribleness as well.
It is both. It is both.
And like honestly, I would take this form factor over like a 12.9-inch iPad Pro any day of the week. Any day of the week. If you like gave it if they made an M1 12-inch MacBook with the Magic Keyboard instead of the Butterfly, dude, that would be awesome.
That would be I feel like they wouldn't do it because of the iPad, but like if they did, that would be because you get that full Mac OS desktop experience, but in that small, thin package. It's if just looking at the computer, it looks it's so cute and it's like so good. As long as you don't turn it on, it's like so good.
Yeah.
Or you don't touch the keyboard. It's so good.
It kind of looks like what netbooks wished they could have been 10 years beforehand.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they kind of failed in the same way that the netbook failed. Because, I mean, I don't know. The 12-inch MacBook was sort of a blessing and a curse. I'm gonna lean it towards curse. In fact, this could be a good poll topic. Was the 12-inch Retina MacBook revolutionary primarily, or was it crap primarily? Because those are sort of its two things, right? I mean, it's the first fanless MacBook, but it was also kind of the first thermally annihilated, really crap overheating MacBook. It introduced the design aesthetic that Apple used up until October, but that also brought a bunch of thermal problems. The butterfly keyboard, it was sort of a harbinger of doom in that sense, right? It was the first with USB-C, another good point. I would say USB-C has been a good thing, but maybe they went too far because it was only USB-C and not even Thunderbolt, by the way. Did you know that, Noah? Do you remember that?
I don't. Maybe, but I didn't remember that. So it's just USB-C.
Just a normal USB-C port, which is a real limitation when it's the only port.
True.
So let's go ahead and whoop. I went to apple.com because I was trying to autofill the thing. Let me pull up the old voting thingy boy. Go on over to app.drkmodepodcast.com where you will find the poll on the 12-inch MacBook. Let me go ahead and pull that up here on the old Streameroony. See, the thing is, I'm really torn because I kind of want to say that it was crap, but I also really like it, and I've been using it a lot. Yeah, so we're already starting out with a 70% vote in favor of crap for the 12-inch MacBook. So that's not exactly encouraging, but it's early. There's still time, right? It can pull it back.
Yeah, I think it's and see, so when I made the poll, I just went with, the two extremes because I feel like a lot of people would be somewhere in the middle because it's like you were saying, there are some very good things about it and there are some really, really bad things about it. So it's kind of hard to, also for me, it's kind of hard to pick a side as well.
It's getting closer here. We're at 55-45 in terms of crap to revolutionary. And oh my gosh, as we speak, revolutionary is taking the lead, 52% to 48. This is really 54-46. Revolutionary is coming from behind and taking the lead. My goodness. Because I think it would be foolish to ignore the shortcomings of the 12-inch MacBook. If you have the 2015, the original one, then to be quite honest, my condolences. Because if it's working right now, make sure it's backed up because they have a nasty habit of breaking in every conceivable way. The USB-C controller fails. If that doesn't fail, then the SSD will fail. And if the SSD doesn't fail, then it's probably just making room for the CPU to fail. So pretty much all the things that make it work don't.
Yeah, I heard that they are not the most reliable machines.
Oh yeah, I would even put those up there, possibly higher in terms of avoid them at all costs than the 2011 MacBooks with the graphics card failure.
Oh yeah.
And Noah, you've had your fair share of experience with graphics card failure on the 2011s. How many times did we go to the Apple Store for that?
I think it was like 3 times. It was like at least 2, but I want to say it was 3 times that I took that 2011 MacBook Pro to the Apple Store for graphics failure.
Yeah, that was I still maintain that at least one of those times they did not actually replace the board. I think they reflowed the GPU, put it back in, and said, all right, we'll see them in 6 months.
Honestly, yeah.
It happened real fast.
Yeah.
And I want to address here Alvin in the comments here saying it's 15 years ahead, Luke, admit it. I think it is ahead of its time, but that's not always a compliment. Ahead of its time can mean revolutionary, but it can also mean they tried to do too much too soon. And in that case, I think this is the case. They tried to make the keyboard thin, ruined it. They tried to go to USB-C, which was definitely too early. Okay now, but it fails all the time, so not great. And obviously there's the reliability issues. The biggest one is the thermals because they were basically designing for Apple Silicon, but they didn't have Apple Silicon, so they had to go to these pitiful 5-watt Intel CPUs, which are barely more powerful than Core 2 Duos. In the original one, if you pull up a 2009 Core 2 Duo MacBook Pro, it's a tight race. And they had the gall to ask $1,300 for that until 2019.
Yeah, that's a bit rough.
Scoffing.
I do think that that it was definitely ahead of its time, but I really think that it was just a couple years ahead of its time. And if they tried to do it again with Apple Silicon, they definitely could. It's like you just look at the 13-inch MacBook Air that's out right now. If you imagine taking that computer and just making it smaller, making it a 12-inch display, and same Magic Keyboard and same everything else, just a little bit smaller, same M1, like it could totally do that, and it wouldn't have a lot of the problems that the original 2015 model had.
The only problem is I've become convinced that Apple isn't going to bring back the 12-inch MacBook, and I'll explain why, but I do also want to address that in our poll, which is now concluded, 55%, the majority, voted for revolutionary. And I think that's interesting because you can't deny that there's something about the 12-inch MacBook that, even though we know it's bad, even though we know the butterfly keyboard is awful and the heat output is ridiculous, even though we know all of these things, you see a 12-inch MacBook and you're like, I want one. I want one of those. Remember when we watched the keynote after school in March of 2015? Remember that, Noah?
Vaguely, yeah. I know we
really
did.
I remember it extremely vividly, and I remember I had never wanted an Apple product more than I wanted the 12-inch MacBook at that moment.
Yeah, that thing. The one thing that I remember vividly was in the promo, like in the trailer that they did, there was like a shot of like the screen with like a bubble in the like going. Do you remember this? And I thought that meant it was like a touch screen. I have no idea why I thought that, but that was the one thing that I remember. I saw that bubble and I was like, whoa, it's a touch screen. I don't know why.
That bubble just in your mind signified that it must be touch screen. Clearly,
I guess so, but I remember vividly. But I remember that thing was a pretty cool laptop when it came out.
Yeah, and I think you're right about it being a few years ahead of its time. And if it were done today, it would be a smash hit. Now, the thing is, I don't think Apple's going to do it again. I don't think there's going to be any other 12-inch MacBook. The big reason is, well, the reason that defined the size of the actual 12-inch MacBook, and that's the keyboard. They were very clear about that in the keynote. The width is defined by the keyboard. So if you look at the footprint of this thing, the keyboard is all the way at the edge. There's no room to make it narrower.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that if you wanted to make any modifications, it would have to be the same width. But if you look at the bezels, they're kind of chunky now. They're not thin. And so, in Apple's typical form, you either shrink the bezels or you enlarge the screen to fit the form factor. You sure as heck are not going to be shrinking these bezels, because then you're going to shrink the keyboard, and they're not going to do that. So the alternative is you make the screen bigger, at which point you're getting pretty close to 13 inches, at which point you might as well just have a 13-inch MacBook Air, give it the old slimming down treatment, cut off some bottom area, get rid of the taper, go with a thin border display and a notch on top. And what do you have now? You have the exact renders of what we are expecting the new MacBook Air to look like. So I think the new MacBook Air is going to essentially eliminate the need for another 12-inch MacBook because it's going to be like probably a little bigger, because it's going to have a little bit of space for some speakers on the sides of the keyboard. So maybe half an inch to 3/4 of an inch wider, maybe a little taller, probably about the same thickness. It's going to be so close that there's no point having both. That's what I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree because like the 12-inch and the 13-inch are already, it's a 1-inch difference. And that it does make a difference because you can say, 14-inch MacBook Pro, 16-inch MacBook Pro. It's a 2-inch difference, but it's still like definitely a noticeable difference. It sure is. So I've been told. But the main thing is that, like you said, when you get to that point where you take the 12-inch MacBook, which had, the standard bezels for the time, and then you start making the screen a bit bigger, and then maybe it's a 12.5-inch screen or maybe a little bit more, and then it's like really close to a 13-inch, and it's like, where is it gonna, why not just get the 13 inches? It's a little bit bigger, but it's I don't know if there's really a reason to have a whole nother product. Because the other thing that I'll say in addition to that is when the 12-inch MacBook came out, that was like kind of a separate, like that was the MacBook, right? It wasn't like a MacBook Air or like a MacBook Pro, obviously not, but it wasn't like a MacBook Air or whatever. It was like a MacBook. It was kind of a separate thing. And like, I guess Apple could do that again, but like you can't imagine like a 12-inch MacBook Air and a 13-inch MacBook Air. That doesn't really seem right to me.
Yeah. I mean, one of the reasons that the MacBook was killed was not necessarily because of its, appalling reliability, terrible keyboard, and bad thermals, although I suspect that played a part. One of the main reasons was because Apple's base model lineup was just all over the place. I mean, if you look at 2019, right before the 12-inch got discontinued, you had the MacBook Air at $1099, and that was 8 gigs, 128 gigs of storage. And then you had the MacBook Pro at $1299, also 8 gigs, also 128 gigabytes of storage. But that one had quad-core chips. The Air had dual-core and a fan. And then you had the 12-inch MacBook, also $1299, same as the MacBook Pro, but it had 8 gigs and 256 gigabytes of storage, but it had the old, very low-power processor. So you had like 3 different MacBooks, all with different Intel chips, all with the same design, all with the butterfly keyboard, within $200 of each other. And that's just too confusing. So I think that the 12-inch MacBook, I firmly believe, was intended to eventually replace the MacBook Air. I think that's what they wanted to do. Because remember, the MacBook was the first of like the new design, which accompanied the butterfly keyboard. 2016, that came to the Pro. It wasn't until 2018, when the MacBook had already been out for 3 years, that the MacBook Air got that design. And I think they, at some point, realized they weren't going to be able to just like get the 12-inch MacBook to be competent enough to replace the Air, because the Air is this hugely popular mass market product. They couldn't make the MacBook cheap enough and also fast enough to take that place. And so they eventually said, all right, there's nowhere for this to go. It's confusing and it's slow as heck. Just get rid of it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because if you think about like when the MacBook Pro, when the MacBook was introduced in 2015, it was almost like not much like a concept car, but more like a vision for the future kind of thing, because that was the first computer to get all of these changes, and then all the rest of the lineup sort of followed that eventually. And I feel like the MacBook, it makes sense. They launched it as the MacBook because it certainly wasn't powerful enough to be a pro machine, but also it was probably not cheap enough and fast enough, like you said, to be an Air machine. So it was sort of this like separate product, sitting somewhere in the middle. And it was just sort of maybe they're not so much their way of like testing the waters, but of just like introducing, their next few years, their next, phase or whatever it is. And then, yeah, like you said, maybe it didn't, they couldn't get it down to MacBook Air quality. And then they got rid of it when they didn't need it anymore.
Yeah, I think it just kind of had an identity crisis. Like it didn't really know what it wanted to be. Because before, if you go back to like 2010, the MacBook nameplate was the base model. The MacBook Air was like the MacBook, but it was more expensive because it used solid state storage and it was super thin. So that was an era where Air as a suffix meant premium ultralight.
Mhm.
But between 2010 and 2015, the MacBook Air swapped roles and they basically made Air as a suffix into the entry level instead of the light and thin one. Because in 2016 and 2017, the MacBook Air was the thickest laptop Apple sold. It was a complete contradiction. And like even in 2018, when they redesigned it, it wasn't thinner. It was just a little bit less. So it was sort of entry level rather than ultra light.
That's a good point about them switching meanings, because that definitely did happen. And I think it's also kind of funny because we like to talk about how Apple, like their branding and their suffixes, like have so many meanings that they don't mean anything. Like you could look at the iPads now, like whereas like the iPad Air isn't the entry model, right? But in the Macs, the Air is the entry level. But in the iPads, just the regular iPad, which would be the MacBook equivalent, that's the entry level. So kind of funny that they switched one over and not the other.
Yeah, I guess the iPad Air is kind of the entry level version of the iPad Pro. And it's similar. Like if you look at iPad Air versus iPad Pro, it's kind of like when you look at the current MacBook Air versus MacBook Pro, visually extremely similar, internally pretty similar, although I guess, M1 versus A14. But yeah, no, it's just a mess. Apple doesn't know what they're doing. But as a vision for the future, it was it was a vision for the future. They kept that design until October and all of the different like elements that came with it, and then slowly abandoned all of them. But one thing, you can't deny, the 12-inch MacBook, because it was so thin, gave us the Force Touch trackpad. That was a necessity to hit this form factor. And I think that's a very good legacy. The Force Touch trackpad is phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely. And it's I definitely prefer it to the physical. Not that I've used the physical in a while, but I definitely like the gesture that it opens up. And I think it's impressive because like I never liked the fake home buttons, like the iPhone 7 home button. I never, not that I had a 7 or an 8 or whatever, but I never liked that home button. But the Force Touch
I had a
trackpad,
7, I hated it.
Love that.
Yeah, I had a 7, I hated the home button. It just felt like the whole phone, the whole bottom of the phone was vibrating. It was not good. I actually had the 7. I like skipped the 10. I don't know why I did that. I should have just gotten the 10. I don't know why I sat there for that whole year. I had the iPhone upgrade program. I could have gotten it. I don't know why
I remember that because I got the 10 and I kept telling you like, oh, you got to get it. The new gesture, like the bar at the bottom and all those gestures is so cool, whatever. And then I know you didn't get it.
I was late. I got the 10S Max. I needed the big boy. I had to wait for the big chungus to come along and sweep me off my feet because I always have the big phone. And, iPhone 6 Plus, 6S Plus, 7 Plus, 10S Max. 12 Pro Max, 13 Pro Max. They're all about the same size, really. Although they've now increased in thickness and weight, which I'm not really mad about.
Yeah, I don't know. This is like a whole other discussion, but like I did have the 6 Plus and the 6S Plus, but then I got well, I don't know if I would call it downgrading.
Yeah,
I'd call it downsizing perhaps, but I think that the 13 Pro and like, the 10 and that size is it's pretty good for me.
In fact, speaking of iPhones, we are expecting a new iPhone SE, potentially in as few as hang on. Calendar.
It's like 2 weeks,
Come
right?
to me. So, 3 weeks. No, 2 weeks. No, yes.
2.5 weeks.
2 weeks and 2 days.
Yeah.
2 weeks and 2 days. All in my head. I'm an encyclopedia of knowledge. Yeah, that's nutty. So that means a week from tomorrow we could get event invites?
Hopefully, yeah.
Oh man. That's sick. I'm actually a little bit nervous. I kind of, entirely for selfish reasons, mind you, I kind of hope that it's actually a week later. Like we get the events on the 8th and it's whatever, the 16th or 15th or whatever. Yeah, 15th.
Why is that?
Because I've got this really big project that I've been working on for a month now, and I've got the first episode ready. I've been waiting on sponsors to get it pushed out. I'm hoping for Tuesday. I'm fingers crossed for Tuesday. That'd be sick. I think you guys are really going to like it. And it's actually a 2-part. I'm working on part 2 right now. That's my challenge this week, is to button down the second part. And I wonder, because I'm a little afraid that if I post this week, and I'm worried that part 2 will be too close to the Apple event and it'll like, it'll like conflict of interest.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that timing getting messed up.
I don't know. I am. Should I give everyone here like a little sneak peek?
Yeah, I think you might have told me about this a little bit, but
I definitely told you about it.
Okay.
But let me go ahead and I'm just gonna unscrew my little camera mount here, and I'll give you a very shaky, awkward, blurry peek, and we'll just see if anyone is able to get like a little excited, see what's cooking, what's in the pot here. You won't have to wait too long, hopefully. Here we go.
All right. Let's take a look. Oh, yes. So this is I wasn't sure if this was the project that you were referring to, but I think I do. I think I do know about this one.
Get. That's all you get. Interesting.
Very interesting. Very intriguing.
Very intriguing, right? What do we think about that? Got any guesses? What are we working on? Also, someone said I'm not wearing pants. I don't know what you call those, but yeah. Interesting, right? What do we think, boys? Statistically, boys.
Yeah.
Not meaning to be exclusive, I just know my audience.
Yep.
Isn't that interesting?
I think it is,
So,
and I don't want to spoil anything, but I'll just say
Yeah.
that's part of it. I
Oh,
guess.
oh my!
I'm not gonna say anything
what
more,
a reveal.
but we'll just say that was just a little peek, and that's all I'll say.
Noah, there's a thread coming out of my jacket.
Oh no, you should return it.
Oh wait, return it where? It's an empty building.
Yep.
Oh no. I am very interested here. A lot of people seem to be interested and confused. Here's one here. Luke is finally putting an M1 in a toaster. That's a good idea. What if there was a toaster that did the opposite of toast? It like cooled. Like a freezer.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like little. Like something that quickly froze bread.
Like a flash freezer.
It's not very useful, admittedly. But it would be if you wanted to put a computer in it. Someone should work on that. I think there's a market for that. YouTubers, they'd love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's quite an interesting little pile I've got over there. I'm really gunning for trying to get this gosh dang video out soon. I'd love for you guys to feast your eyeballs on it, and you'd be glued to the screen. You'd love it. I really want to get this video posted. I need a sponsor for part 2. So that's the thing. It's on YouTube. When you do a big project, the AdSense revenue on it is like pretty good. Sometimes, depending on how many views it gets, sometimes it'll do better than the sponsor for it. But that's because it's very hard to predict how many views it will get. And so sponsors generally won't pay more than they would be comfortable with your average view count. So if your average view count is low, which it is because it's February and a tech drought, then people don't want to take the risk. So it's kind of annoying. But I need a sponsor for a video like this. And so people in chat saying that I should post it tomorrow. I'd love to. If I post a sponsored video ahead of time, I get sued. So I'm not going to do that.
That is understandable.
Yeah, I hope that can be understood. I don't want a lawsuit. That's one thing about me is I don't like being sued. It's a character trait.
That's very very distinct, very defining.
Yeah, it's very unique. Not a lot of other people are like that. No, I know you love getting sued. You do it a lot.
You can catch me at the courthouse any day of the week.
You're always there. You're defending yourself.
Yes. Oh yeah. No lawyers.
No lawyers, of course not. It's about the thrill.
Oh, yeah.
No one knows all the judges.
I've lost quite a bit of money, but it's it's entertainment. You pay to go see a movie, right?
Exactly.
You lose a lawsuit and pay the other
Same
party.
thing.
Exactly.
And you never settle ever.
Oh no.
Always paying full damages.
I go all in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy, they're like, oh, we don't want to go to court. We don't want to go to court. $100,000. Noah's like, I don't care. I'll see you in there.
Yeah.
This is entertainment. I'm going to be in the courtroom.
And be like,
and
oh yeah,
no.
I gotta try and fit you in. I got a morning and I got an evening. I can fit you in the afternoon.
Oh, you double dipping now?
You gotta fit them. I've pissed off a lot of people. I gotta fit them all in.
It's a tight schedule. It's so hard. I mean, Noah is a social pariah at this point. You're like Martin Shkreli.
Yeah, I'm kind of nervous that I'm gonna run out of people to sue me.
Like the saturation of people that have sued you per capita.
Yeah, like there won't be anyone left to open, to file a suit,
Is that why you moved? Because it opens up a new jurisdiction for you to be held liable in?
That's right. That's right.
I knew it. I knew you were lying when you said you moved for your job.
That's what I mean. In the end, I was in DC for like 8 months and ran out of people.
You ran through DC right quick. Wow.
8 months, yeah.
Damn. I'm impressed. I mean, it took you a while to get through Pennsylvania.
I was there. Well, I didn't have my first case until
Lawsuit.
I was my first lawsuit until I was about 12 years old. That was the first one.
Oh wow, what was that one for?
I can't even remember. It took me a long time to win a case. 12-year-old defending yourself.
No lawyers.
Not gonna go
in a
too
federal
well.
district court. Yeah, no, that's
rough. That one's. I dug myself a pretty deep hole, but
yeah, I mean, I remember some of your early defamation suits. They just did not. You didn't hit your stride yet. You didn't quite know what you were doing. You kept saying stuff like, that other guy is so stinky over there, and the judge was not pleased about that because it was the bailiff.
Oh yeah, that was I missed a lot of school for that, which might have helped me defend myself a little bit better, but nope.
That's true. You missed courtroom class.
Yeah, of course.
I learned so much there that it would have been really helpful in all of those copyright infringement cases where you blatantly ripped off multiple apps and then sold the data to advertisers, and you did this like really crappy thing. I remember where you like used algorithms to track people's activities on the app and build profiles about their likes and interests and their social network, and then use that to sell targeted advertisements to them. That was this really terrible thing that you did.
I stand by that. It's a smart idea. Make a lot of money.
And remember that thing you did where you developed an algorithm that was intended to create a feedback loop that drives people to radicalization?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's that was honestly a little bit too easy. I was
oh really
disappointed by that.
And it was so crazy how you had that whistleblower where someone was like, "Oh my God, Noah willfully knew he was causing damage to the public and just kept doing it anyway because he needed to attend more lawsuit hearings."
Do you know who that person? You know who that whistleblower was?
No.
It was me.
I wanted to create whistle.
I wanted to create more opportunities to be seen.
Wow, that's a plot twist. That is like one of the all-time biggest reveals. You blew your own whistle because you wanted more courtroom time.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
I never knew that. That's crazy.
Yeah, good times.
Good times at the old courtroom.
Yep.
It's been so frequent that your Apple Maps says driving to work when you go to the local courthouse.
Oh yeah. I don't even need it anymore. I just I know the way. I could do it with my eyes closed, and I have.
So you hit ETA only on the Apple Maps.
Oh yeah, because I know where I'm going, and I can do it with my eyes closed, and I have done it with my eyes closed because then
reckless endangerment. Right? That's another lawsuit.
Exactly. See, you get it.
That's brilliant. Why has no one thought of this before? You're a genius. Yeah. And on the way, you try to like squeak in a few hit and runs and whatnot.
Oh yeah, it's You know,
Getting
it's
bored.
yeah, they see it's getting harder though, because you know they see the car and they know they gotta duck and cover. So
It becomes more and more battered with each coming trip to the courtroom. Yeah.
yeah, it's yeah.
Speaking of trips to the courtroom, Apple is going to be making a trip to the courtroom of public opinion when it launches new products at an event that we could see in just 2 weeks and 2 days. How'd you like that
That
segue, huh?
that you brought it right back. I didn't know that was
I
even
did.
possible.
I did. I'm like a boomerang, all right? You throw me in one direction, boom, courtroom. Noah likes lawsuits. I can circle that right around. Bam, we're back talking about an Apple event. That's just one of those things that, that's one of the things they taught you in courtroom class, but you weren't there because you were getting sued for libel.
That's right. I wouldn't know, but I'm very impressed. I will give you that one.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll give you
me a
I'll give you
topic, I'll
5 points
circle
for
it.
that one.
Oh, yes. My first points. Oh, this is
Yes.
huge. Oh, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to cherish those points forever. And in fact, you know what? I feel like I should probably give you a point for setting me up for that with a fantastic reveal about your self-blown whistle.
So I have 6 points now, right? And you have 5, I think. So I'm winning.
Yes.
I just wanted to make that clear.
Yes, and at 10 points, you can redeem them.
I think I know what you can redeem them for, but let's we'll save that until someone gets 10 points.
Ah, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, we both know what it is.
Right. But we'll save that.
We'll save it because we're not there yet. And that,
yeah.
I don't know. This point system, you got to keep your eye out. I don't know. Are these being freely given? We're both halfway there at this point. I don't know. Maybe this is an easy goal to accomplish, or maybe 10 points is incredibly difficult. We definitely know, but you don't. So you'll have to come back and watch another episode to find out.
Absolutely. And the other thing that we don't know is what's going to happen at this Apple event.
I was already planning on saying, I was going to say, you're going to have to watch another episode and find out. You know what else you're going to watch is another Apple keynote in 2 weeks. But you stole that one from me. Damn.
Well, I had to do it.
You had to do it. You know what else had to do is Tim Cook had to do some he had to say good morning for another Apple event. Let's go. I still got it. What are we expecting, Noah? You want to run us through the list? What do we want?
Okay, so we're actually talking about the event now, and not just like clever puns that there will be an event. We're actually talking about
we are wading into uncharted waters here. If you'd like to dip your toe in and just give us a little taste, I think that could be good.
I would like to. So I think the things that we're definitely expecting the iPhone SE, right? The new iPhone SE. I don't think we're expecting a new design. I think we're expecting it to look pretty similar to the one existing today with some internal upgrades.
About that.
Yep. And I think we're also definitely expecting a new iPad Air that should bring like center stage and some internal upgrades just to like bring it up to speed with the iPad Pro and the iPad Mini. So those are the things. I think those are the two that we're definitely expecting. And then there were some rumors about maybe like a Mac Mini with M1 Pro and M1 Max. We might see that as well.
I think that's a decent likelihood because, I mean, okay, here's the thing. I'm going to be Tim Cook for a minute, okay? I'm going to be old Tim.
Okay.
Now, first of all, I'd really like a smoothie right now. Because if I'm Tim Cook, I would really want a smoothie right now. But I suppose that's not, strictly relevant. Although if I'm, trying to be a successful CEO and I don't have a smoothie, I mean, how is that even possible? But one thing that I'm keeping in mind. I'm still Tim Cook, by the way. It's actually it's still me, but I know it's really convincing, but it's me, Luke, pretending to be Tim Cook. All right,
Mr. Cook, what are you talking about?
No. See, it's still me here. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's you. Yeah, it's Tim Cook.
It's me. No. You got confused again. It's me, Luke. But just like imagine that I was Tim Cook. All right.
I don't have to.
Okay, that's fine. All right. Good morning. I'm Tim Cook. And I sure want to smoothie. Okay. All right. Now, if I'm Tim Cook and I'm working on an Apple event and I'm cooking up a little video here, right? I'm cooking it up. I'm editing it in iMovie, which I'm sure they do. And I'm dragging in 44th Street long. I'm really polishing it up, right? And okay, here's the thing. We know M2 eventually is going to happen, right? But I, being Tim Cook, once I've had my smoothie, I realize with the clarity and focus and precision that this smoothie affords me, I realize, wait a minute, I can't launch the M2 MacBooks when I'm not done with M1. I've still got some stuff on the shelf. I've still got a whole bucket of flour to make this M1 bread, right? I don't want to bring in the new flour because that's how it works. I don't want to bring in the new flour, me, Tim Cook, because I'm not done with the old flour. All of which is to say, the M1 Pro, there's more to do, right? We still need a Mac Mini. There's an Intel one right now. Nobody wants that. It's stinky. We still have...
That's what Tim Cook would say.
That's what he would say. He was like, "Get this thing out of here! It smells so bad. It's it's vile. It's like the interns. They give them to the interns because it's so stinky and they don't want to see them anymore. So we got to get rid of that. We still have a 27-inch iMac around. If you thought if you thought the Mac Mini was stinky, wait till you smell the iMac. It's so bad." Okay, all right, but it's terrible. They can't come out with an M2 MacBook Pro while these absolute stinkers are still stinking up the Apple store with all of this Intel stuff going on. You know, the electricity bill is through the roof. They're like, we got to get rid of these things. It's costing a fortune. So the M1 Mac Mini, that's got to happen. The M1 or M1 Pro, and then the M1 Pro iMac Pro. Oh God, that's the worst thing I've ever said. I don't think I've ever said something worse than that. The M1 Pro iMac Pro.
Yeah.
What's the auditory equivalent of stinky?
That noise you just made. That retching noise. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. No, that is it's very please don't call it that. M1 Pro iMac Pro. Like something about MacBook M1 Pro MacBook Pro is pretty bad, make no mistake. But I feel like it's the 2 syllables. Although iMac is also 2 syllables. There's something about it. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. I don't know. I do have a theory though. I just thought of a theory. You ready for this? So the iMac Pro is going to have the M1 Pro in it. So it's just the iMac Pro, right? And then they're going to have the iMac Max, and that's going to have the M1 Max in it, and that's going to be the 30-something inch. The iMac Max rolls off the tongue.
Oh no. Honestly, that might not be as terrible. I feel like M1 Pro iMac Pro is just so bad. What if they call it I'm 1AC Pro and then I'm 1AC Max? Because then the M1 is in there. It's like a little, it's like buried in there. It's like the arrow in the FedEx logo, where it's like, ooh, it's super sneaky and clever.
That's
and you have
so
to like
sneaky.
really, you have to look real close to figure it out. And you're like, oh man, I didn't notice that the first time I saw it. But now that I saw it, I can't unsee it. It'd be like that.
Yeah, what you just said is just as subtle as the arrow in the FedEx logo.
Exactly. It's on the same level of marketing cunningness.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see it. Oh, I got an email. Oh, it's spam. Wait, I got another email. Alert. I have received 2 emails. This one is excellent, I must say. It's from a simply unpronounceable word. Just, it can't be done in any language. The subject line is as follows. Can I give you a free MacBook Pro charger? I'm intrigued. Say more. Body. Can I give you a free MacBook Pro charger? And that's it. I'm drawn in.
It's a free MacBook Pro charger. Like, we don't even MagSafe 1, MagSafe 2, USB-C. We don't know.
Is this someone who just has an extra one, or is it a brand?
True.
There's no capitalization or punctuation of any sort. So it's stated as a question here. There's no question mark. This is the mystery, the intrigue. This is like an Agatha Christie novel, except without a murder yet.
Yeah, we don't know. Why, like, where did this person get the charger from? Was it from
what if it's
someone that they murdered?
The charger could be a murder weapon itself. Like, it could be used like a garrote,
True. Yeah.
Maybe that's why it's free. Oh, no! I've been pranked. I got another email, a third email, and it says the subject line is now you have 3 emails. No!
It was from a different person, I'm hoping.
Yes. This one was from Aiden, who is currently watching the podcast and absolutely owned me by increasing my emails by 50%. I've run out of Google's storage space.
Yep.
I actually just upgraded that. Like, I survived for 10 years on the 15 gigabytes, and then they finally got me when I could no longer be bothered to go back through and delete old documents to scavenge for 400 megabytes here and there. They finally got me.
I'm running up on my limit, and I had to do that recently. But do you know how much storage space I have from Google?
Is it like 1,000 million?
Well, no, that's separate. But for my personal account, which is normal, my personal account has 17 gigabytes of storage from Google.
How?
The reason is because back like 5 or 8 years ago or something, they had this, I think it was like a security thing where they were like, if you did something certain, it's like something special to your account, they would give you extra free storage. And this was like at least 5 years ago, maybe even like 10 years ago, but they still honor it to this day. So I have 17 gigabytes of Google storage on my personal account.
That's so, what a weird amount of storage to give someone too. Like, why? I feel like, why not go to 20? Are they really, they're really going to pinch their pennies that much? 17?
I don't know.
18?
It was an extra 2 gigabytes of storage. And I don't remember how I got it, but I know I did something a very long time ago. And, I'll give them credit. They're still honoring it to this day.
No! I got a 4th email. It says, "Hey, stupid head, here's a fourth email." No, I'm just getting owned. My email, it's full. It says email deleted. It says you're done. You're toast.
You need to abandon
beans.
that account. That account's compromised. You have to start
That's
over.
this account.
Yeah, no,
I'm
you
done.
gotta start
I'm
over.
finished. Oh man, it's been a good run. It really has been a good run. You know what else has been a good run, Noah?
What's that?
Do you want to guess? What do you think has been a good run, Noah?
Oh boy, I think I have an idea here.
You have an idea?
Yeah, I do. I think
No! A fifth email. No. I'm already ruined. There's nothing left for me to do here. Except there is one thing left for me to do. Do you want to know what it is?
I do.
Do you want to know what it is?
What is it?
It's to thank our super chats this evening. Thank you so much, Miss Jill. I've learned a lot on your channel, so wanted to send a little love. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We've also got our resident sugar daddy, Cole Weathers, who's late. So thank you for that. And then we've also got another super chat here. So also, again, thank you for that. Oh, hang on a second. I've gotten another email.
Oh no.
The subject line. It's not calling me a stupid head. So this is already an improvement. Do you want to know what the subject line is?
Go for it.
It's Tim Cook, important information. Tim has sent us important information. Oh, good God, I'm haunted for the rest of my days.
What?
Oh no, it's like a face morph between me and Tim Cook, and it's this sort of hideous gargoyle creation. Oh no.
Geez.
Oh no, and my inbox is being absolutely flooded. I'm underwater. Hey Noah.
Yeah.
Do you know what else is underwater?
What?
Do you know what else is underwater? Do you want to guess?
I think is it this episode of the podcast?
Yes, it is. This episode is underwater of time that is allocated to it.
Yes, that makes perfect sense.
Exactly. And so the end. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on this episode of Drk Mode. I have been your host, Luke Miani, sorry.
And I have been your host, Noah Rubin. We will see you next week for perhaps a slightly less insane episode, but you can never be too sure.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe more.
Regardless, have a good night.